On the other side, viewers, we pivot to political battles in United States of America that turned bloody yesterday. Charlie Kirk, who U.S. President Donald Trump referred to as a close family friend and a prominent right-wing political activist, was shot dead in full public view at a debate in Utah Valley University. A conservative, Kirk was never the poster boy for the so-called left liberals. Could that have cost him his life? Donald Trump certainly thinks so.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country.
But the circumstances surrounding Charlie Kirk's murder, coupled with last year's assassination attempt on U.S. President Trump, hold significant relevance and lessons for India. They show what hate-fueled rhetoric can actually do, because it is the cancel culture propagated in the name of ideological opposition that leads to such violent consequences. The rhetoric propagated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's opponents as they chant "Modi teri kabr khudegi," warn of dande padenge, and threaten that Prime Minister will not be able to even step outside his house. The BJP is now telling the intolerant ecosystem to learn before it's too late.
जो लोग मोहब्बत की दुकान के नाम पर नफरत के सामान के विक्रेता बनकर किसी व्यक्ति पर और खास करके संवैधानिक पद पर बैठे हुए व्यक्ति के खिलाफ लाठी डंडों से मारने की बात, हिटलर की मौत मरेगा, कब्र खुदेगी, ऐसी बातें करते हैं, ऐसे लोगों को देखना चाहिए कि उनके कृत्यों का और बोले गए शब्दों का क्या परिणाम और अंजाम हो सकता है.
We condemn what has happened in US. Now earlier we have also seen Rahul Gandhi saying Modi ko dande padenge. So do you think that that remark should also be condemned, because this is also resorting to certain kind of...
These are general words. Today यह हो गया, हम लोग इतना insensitive हो गया, हर बात को हम तोड़ के देखना चाहते इसमें क्या है.
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate with Suhail Seth, Ishkaran Bhandari, Vivek Srivastava and Sanjay Jha is Tausif Ahmed Khan, lawyer and political analyst, supports the Trinamool Congress. And I want to ask you, Tausif bhai, there is something that we saw on camera, the kind of targeting and the kind of broad daylight murder of Charlie Kirk in the United States. Why? Because of his political opinion? Well, you may not agree with everything he says. Many people don't. But does that mean violence? Does that mean shooting down somebody? And that is why I want to ask you, is the opposition in India walking down that very dangerous trajectory? Because every now and then we hear words like Amit Shah ki gardan kaat do coming from Trinamool Congress MPs. There is Modi teri khabar kudegi. Even somebody as senior as Rahul Gandhi, the prime ministerial candidate of the opposition, who came out and said, Modi bahar nahi nikal sakega ghar se. I want to ask you, are we walking down that dangerous road where statements by political leaders in the opposition can lead to violence amongst common people?
Navika, I will say that these political statements, which is full of idioms and rhetorics, I think you're taking it, stretching it too far when you're comparing it with what happened in United States. Now, violence in any form, we condemn it because we come from the country where we consider Mahatma Gandhi as the father of the nation, and he was a champion of non-violence. He taught non-violence to the whole world. And in spite of that, we see violence everywhere. We see men being lynched, and our Prime Minister say nothing about it. In a way, violence has been normalized. Regardless of that, what actually happened in America should stay in America. It should not come to haunt the BJP leaders in India if they are doing everything right.
Well,
no
then
political
Suhail said, I want to ask you, what happened in America was for political views. So are you saying that political views and rhetoric, nobody has the freedom to express them? What does Modi ki boti boti kar denge mean? What does Modi teri kabr khudegi mean? Isn't this the opposition's language in India? And should we not suddenly raise the red flag? I think you're on mute.
Mahua Moita said that Amit Shah...
I'm here in New York, and the kind of polarization I'm seeing across news channels, in newspapers, is unbelievable. There are many who said, good, if Kirk displayed and believed in, polarizing people, he deserves the death he got. There are others who are shattered, including Donald J. Trump. Navika, you're absolutely right. Any form of hate speech is a trigger for a lunatic and needs to be avoided. America has seen this, but their desire to maintain the Second Amendment and not have gun control laws has brought them to a sense of ruination. You know how many presidents have been assassinated, how many attempts have been made. Whether you were a peace lover like Martin Luther King, you were assassinated. John F. Kennedy, attempts on Ronald Reagan. I mean, it's a litany. Abraham Lincoln. So the point where we are safe is till now there has been decency and decorum in our political speak. That needn't change. And I've said this on your program multiple times. The debasement of speech leads to unnecessary triggers, and then people say, bhai, aapne to kaha tha, humne kar dikhaya. Let's for argument's sake say someone saying kill Suhail. There'll be someone who'll say that, look, you said kill Suhail, I've gone ahead and done it. They will have followers or fans like they've had fans of the person who's the shooter on Charlie Kirk. So we are living in dangerous times, and it takes only one lunatic or one fringe element to destroy well-crafted and well-deserved peace. This is what America is continuously seeing. So for Donald Trump to say, oh, don't do this, but he has invoked hate speech many a time. So have other people. So I'm of the opinion that hate speech is a dangerous precipice. It is something that needs to be avoided at all costs. And my appeal to all members of parliament or politicians is, no matter which side of the political divide you stand on, there is a certain decorum that you need to maintain, because this may lead to fatalities that you and I can't imagine.
Absolutely, and that's why, Sanjay Jha, I want to ask you the question. When encouragement of an ecosystem to say, in JNU, just like Charlie Kirk was killed on campus in the university in Utah, in JNU, leke rahenge azadi. Look at the kind of graffiti that exists, and that is being encouraged by the opposition. When Sharjeel Imam, who says that the chicken egg, needs to be blocked and Northeast will be cut from India, and everybody has bleeding hearts, and saying that, well, justice and bail not being given to him. Is this a dangerous road to walk on, and is it time for even Indian political parties, I won't say only the opposition, but Indian political parties, to stop using the rhetorical language that is very often used today, especially when it comes to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi? You've seen it multiple times. The kabr khudegi, boti boti kar denge. Do you think it's time to just wake up and smell the coffee?
First and foremost, I think it's got to be a bipartisan conversation. I'll give you a couple of examples. To start with, I think we all need to condemn these violent manifestations of political assassination, no matter who the individual was, is absolutely deeply unfortunate, reprehensible. Having said that, you're right. You're right that there are people who get targeted. In my opinion, when the Prime Minister of India talks about Congress Mukt Bharat, it's basically a call to say obliterate the political party from the face of this country. The party that fought for India's freedom. You call anybody who criticizes you pro-Pakistan, anti-national. Can you imagine Dr. Manmohan Singh, that sweet, distinguished man, was called a traitor? And he in his decent, kind of behavior. I remember that time I was in the Congress. He was compelled to write a public letter demanding an apology from the Prime Minister. So we have lowered our public discourse, Navika, and I can tell you something. It's so dangerous today that all over social media, including on TV channels, BJP spokespersons come and criticize the opposition and label them as pro-Pakistan. It's so disgusting, sickening, and, frankly, repugnant, but nobody says a word. And this is the narrative.
Well, Sanjay Jha, stop only, playing the victim card, because I interviewed the Prime Minister on the eve of his first visit to Davos, where he clarified his statement. When he said Congress Mukt Bharat, he said it was the thought, the process, the entitlement and everything that the Congress had come to stand for, and the ideology that he spoke about, and not speaking about the physical obliteration of the party or mass removal of the leaders of the party. But you may choose to ignore that, because I remember it because I interviewed and asked this question of the Prime Minister. But Ishkaran Bhandari, is Sanjay Jha simplifying the entire process and somewhere or the other pussyfooting on the issue of the hate that exists and can be dangerous within our Indian political spectrum?
Navika, what has happened is very dangerous for two reasons. One, Charlie Kirk was a 31-year-old man with 2 kids, wife. He was in a university arguing a point out. You may like the point. He was no friend of India, frankly. But you may not like the point. But you cannot shoot down people for giving a speech. I usually agree with Suhail, but today I can't disagree more. Because one, you say this is hate speech and people should be careful, then the problem is, for example, there are people who were saying that men should not be allowed to compete in women's sport before Trump won. That was classified as hate speech. Is that hate speech? It's common sense speech. So the problem is curbing down hate speech, or you invite, or you may have an attack on you, is a very slippery slope, because anything uncomfortable to any ideology can be classified as hate speech. And why do we have to go to Charlie Kirk? What happened to Kanhaiya Lal Taylor in Udaipur? Or what has happened to multiple other people where death threats are given? Is that not a danger everybody faces? If you can't go to universities, if you can't propagate your ideas, if you can't put your ideas in strong language, and if you are to be shot for bringing an idea. In Indian context, the first amendment to our constitution was not to kill people, but to jail people for speech, because the ruling party does not want free speech.
Vivek Srivastava.
Stop.
No, Vivek Srivastava, I want to ask you. In a university, when this begins to happen, what are we talking about? Does India and Indian politicians and universities really need to wake up and look at where is that Lakshman Rekha?
Absolutely yes. I mean, killing somebody is wrong. If there is an assassin, I don't support assassinations. But yes, this man was a racist who was shot dead. ये आदमी रेसिस्ट था,
तो इसलिए मार देंगे
डोनाल्ड ट्रंप
नहीं so you will shoot him
रो रहे हैं
just because he's a racist. So you are saying judicial process should not exist? Modi, you are opposed to Modi, so उसकी कबर खोद देंगे, racist था, मार देंगे. Modi is the prime minister and you don't like him, so you will start saying कबर खुदेगी, बोटी होगी. That's exactly the point. Look at the belligerence there, Ishkaran Bhandari.
Yes. No, 1 minute. I want to counter what Ishkaran said.
That is my exact point. You can label a person. You can label a person racist. Can I make my point, Navika ji? It's a question.
Yes, I'm very short of time. 10 seconds. Ishkaran and 10 seconds to Suhail. Ishkaran.
Navika ji. Yes. Navika ji, this is the danger of Vivek, what they did right now. Label a person rapist, label something as blasphemy, and go around killing people. That is why we need to have free speech, because anybody can label anybody with any word. Nazi, fascist, dictator, hate speech, etc. Go shoot them. That cannot be the solution.
Suhail said.
Luther, 1 minute. This is it is illogical. If you have hate speech, you are giving license to lunatics. I mentioned the word lunatic in my opening remarks. Please, let's not pussyfoot. Don't be in denial. This is not an ideal world. Oh, if it is hate speech, should we kill him? It's happened, nah? It's not happened once. It's happened multiple times. The LTTE hated Rajiv Gandhi. They killed him, right? Nathuram Godse shot at Mahatma Gandhi. So let's not pussyfoot. The tragedy is the world is becoming intemperate. What has happened in Nepal? arson, they're burning
the world
people
is
alive.
becoming
Is that
intemperate.
confusing?
Well, we need to watch our own backyards, and ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a country like ours to wake up, smell the coffee, and maintain some amount of tolerance. Shooting people for their opinions, certainly not something that is kosher. We leave it at that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you to my panelists for joining me on the News Hour tonight. Good night, be safe. I'll be back tomorrow with the News Hour at 9.